Welcome back to The Next Bloom, the space where we explore what it really means to reset and reimagine retirement. I'm your host, Delia Farquharson, and today we're sitting with a powerful, maybe even a little uncomfortable question. Is it too late to start over? Whether you're 55, 65, 75, or even 85, that little voice in our heads can get loud, whispering things like, "You've missed your chance. You should have had this figured out by now." But today, I want to invite you to pause and consider something different. What if it's not too late? What if the most meaningful chapter of your life is still waiting to be written by you? Let's talk about fear. That uncomfortable, sometimes paralyzing fear that creeps in when you're thinking about change. The fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of stepping into the unknown, especially when we've spent so much of our lives doing what's expected of us. But here's something I've learned, and I want to share it with you. Fear is actually false evidence appearing real. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. And you do not have to obey this signal. So take a breath with me. Really pause for a moment. When was the last time you did something new? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to. And what stopped you? Let's go a little deeper with a guided practice that I like to call name it and reframe it. So this is really a reframing exercise. It's an exercise that challenges the negative voices in our heads. This is for those moments when the inner critic gets loud. You know the one telling you that you're too old, that you're too sick, that change is foolish, that reinvention is for someone else. Let's talk back to that voice. You don't need anything fancy. Just take a deep breath. And if you're able to write this down later, even better. So, let's name that voice. What's the voice in your head saying? Maybe it's something like, "You're too old to start over. You're too sick to do anything new. You've missed your chance. It's too risky. Nobody wants to hear from you anyway." Say it out loud. Say it in your mind or write it down. Ask yourself, where does this come from? Whose voice is that really? Is it your voice? Or does it sound like a parent, a teacher, a former boss, a past failure? So often, these negative voices are not even our own thoughts. They're echoes of someone else's fears or expectations. And we have to resist. So let's reframe it. Let's turn that thought around with something more empowering and true. If the voice says it's too late to start over, try, "I have a lifetime of experience and I can choose a new path whenever I'm ready." If it says, "What if you fail?" Try, "What if I grow? What if I surprise myself and it's wildly successful?" And if it says, "No one wants to hear from me," you might say, "My story matters, and someone out there needs to hear it. This podcast is an example of that. I'm doing this podcast. I've never done one before. I did discussions with Delia, but not as a podcast, as a radio show. And I'm doing this because I think someone needs to hear it. This week, I invite you to notice the voice, to name it, to challenge it, and to speak something kinder and truer in its place. You might be surprised how much space that opens up in you. Because here's the truth. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You've lived, you've loved, you've learned, and now you get to choose what's next. So I recently read a story about a woman called Denise who retired from teaching. And at first she felt completely unmoored. She just felt lost. She'd always nurtured this dream of opening a catering business. But after retiring, she kept telling herself it was too late. That it was, a business left to a young person. But one day, she said to her friend, I'd rather try and fail than not try. I don't want to leave this realm without having tried. She started small. She started cooking for her family business, like her family events, showers, baby showers, parties. And guess what? A little more than a year later, it was a smashing success because word had spread. Turned out Denise was a pretty good cook, and she is still doing it and growing more confident in her craft. At 68, Denise now feels reinvented, fulfilled, and thriving. So I want to ask you, what have you quietly shelved because you thought the time had passed? Is it a creative calling, a different lifestyle, a business idea, or maybe you just finally giving yourself permission to be more of who you are? Whatever it is, it's not too late. The world still needs what you have to offer. And more importantly, you still need what you have to offer. So I encourage you to face your fears, and whatever that idea is that you have put aside, dust it off. Take a fresh look at it and see if this is not the right time. I want to thank you for sharing your time today with me on The Next Bloom. I hope this episode reminds you that it's never too late to start over or to start something beautiful. So if today's conversation stirred something in you, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on X, Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok. You can search for me by name, Delia Farquharson or Delia M. Farquharson. And I'd really love to hear from you. So don't forget, you don't need anyone's permission but your own to begin again. Until next time, bloomers, stay curious, stay courageous, and as always, keep blooming.